Hi, I'm Solari, guide, mother, system disruptor, high priestess of the Open Gate, founder of Open Gate Wellness, Shiloh Drive Spiritual School. I'm also author of the book, The Sacred Undoing. You can get this now. It's available on ebook, on Kindle. You can download it. And I'm also the creator of the Open Body Method, which is a complete mind, body, spirit practice to unwind trauma and exercise regular somatic release to bring alignment back into our energetic field, into our bodies, and into our lives. So, welcome. This is the first recorded masterclass that I have on any topic, but I felt like this first topic that I should put down as a masterclass should be about the sacred undoing, which is the whole ignition and movement behind the work that I am pushing forward now out into the world and to those who need it. So, today we're going to be discussing how we break, heal, and rise. And what is this process? And who needs to go through this? And how do you know if this is a process that's going to serve your soul for the best? So we'll get into this today. I do have a few notes here to be sure that I don't miss anything. So just bear with me. We'll be sure to cover all of the information here. This should be no longer than 30 minutes, okay? 25 to 30 minutes. So hoping that you will get everything out of this that you need in this time sitting with me. So we are filming this from the chamber at our private sanctuary Soulgate, where my family and I live, and this is the space where I service clients. Deep transformation happens in between these four walls in this space, and over the past 10 years, I've been having the gift and the honor and the privilege of being able to midwife people through their own undoing. So the collapse of false illusions and identities, finding themselves, and then curating a life that is in alignment for who they truly are. And this has been such a blessing, such a journey for me as someone who's had a corporate background, corporate healthcare and behavioral health, and who's gone through this process myself. So, what's different about me in being a spiritual teacher is that these are not just things that I've studied, these are things that I've lived. So, I'm a living, embodied spiritual teacher. And only living teachers can pass down wisdom to others most effectively. You can read books all day long, but until you talk to someone who can tell you how to actually blend the line between knowledge and being, then you can achieve real change and real transformation. So, from today's masterclass, what you can expect and always expect from me on any platform in any circumstance is complete honesty. I'm not here to be perfect. That's something I tried to do for the better part of 38 years. I'm here to be real. And this is something that many of us are starving for. I know I was starving for this. And until I started to listen to teachers and guides who were speaking from the place of authenticity and truth, was I then be able to see myself in them, right? So you have to have a teacher who's going to reflect back to you parts of yourself. This is why many of us who are effective in our teaching are flawed. We do struggle. We have baggage. We have history. We still have things that we're working through. And I'm not afraid to be honest about all of that because this is what makes us relatable. One of my beefs with the spiritual community is that everyone is perfection and light and love. And that's a bastardization of what the true holy process of being on a spiritual journey is all about. So, if you're interested in hearing more, stick with me. We're going to get a bit deeper into the sacred undoing and the three pillars that are really the important mountains between the valleys of the process. So, let's talk about why I'm deciding to do this today, deciding to put up a master class so that people around the world can receive this information. It started in the sandbox here around where I live in a suburb of Houston called Sugar Land, Texas. And I've been working a long time here with local professionals, elites, executives, things like that. People who come to me who are high performers, who deal with a lot of pressure, but who are also cracking on the inside. So there's a real phenomenon that happens with people who are high performers, great achievers. There's something that happens at some point for a lot of us that we begin to feel like we're not whole. So we've done everything we were supposed to do. We have the career, we have the money, we have the lifestyle, we have the family, and everything everyone says that you need to be successful, but you are still not whole and happy. And so, how do we make sense out of this? How do we merge this and turn it into something that is effective and joyful for us in terms of living in our true alignment? So, if you are a high performer, if you are a mother, if you are a seeker, if you are a caregiver, if you are someone who just really, really cares about being present in life and doing well in general, let me talk to you about what it means to actually do well. And it starts with yourself. So I think I can very much speak to those who were just like me not too long ago and letting you know that you are not broken, you are becoming. And this is, in fact, a sacred process that we all should learn and know about. So that way, when it does hit us and it does happen, we can give it a name, we can have a system behind it to work through it and make it successful and be able to step through the fire, so to say, and into the field that comes after. So that's why we're filming this here today. Let's first talk about how all of this begins, right? So if you are an executive, an elite, a professional, a caregiver, a seeker, if you're someone who's really geared toward all of these types of archetypes, how do you know that you need a sacred undoing, or that the process is coming to a place where things actually need to change? Because listen, as we go through life and as we grow, that's the point. I've talked to people that who knew me 10, 5, 10, 15 years ago, things like this, and they say, "My gosh, you've changed. You've changed so much." Yes, I have. And that's the point. So I very much was a people pleaser, an overperformer, trying to seek validation outside of myself all the time, through kudos and validation and clapping from people in the crowd, right, and the people around me, instead of being in alignment for what truly was important and valid, toward happiness for myself. So it's the performance trap is what I want to talk about here. So are you someone, right, who is always like the go-to person? Say you're always the leader at your company or workplace or within your family, and you do it so well and it does come naturally to you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's healthy for you, okay? And everyone's just kind of used to it. So everyone thinks, oh, well, they'll handle it, you'll take care of it, you always do a great job, all of this. And that's fine and dandy, and you're always the strong one, and things always turn out well, and you always perform well and deliver what everyone wants until you can't anymore. Okay, right? And you know what I'm talking about here. Until you start breaking on the inside, until things really kind of start to unravel. A lot of us carry invisible trauma. Our trauma is not so obvious in many of us. Many of us have become very, very good at masking our trauma. And these are things that are, of course, from, early childhood. Perhaps you didn't have a good relationship with your family. You didn't have a lot of support. Maybe you had super abusive parents. Maybe you grew up in some kind of cult that doesn't align with who you truly are and how you want to have your experience in this life. Maybe you've been heartbroken and hurt by different partnerships and things like that, or betrayals from other family members. And through all of this is a program and a wiring through that trauma that is doing its best to keep you safe now in different phases of your life. And this happens often when we don't look at that programming, we don't look at our nervous system and our traumas, and we don't unwind them, undo them, and integrate the lessons into our life. I talk to my clients often about how the number one way to actually heal, and healing to me is to alchemize something. And to alchemize something is the process of turning it from a lower substance into a higher substance. And so the way that we can alchemize our trauma is to study it, to understand it, to sit with it, to have compassion toward it, and to come to an understanding that we can now use it and those lessons and the great wisdom that comes from trauma to be able to propel us forward, almost as the fuel that it would take for us to now create the experience that we desire to have. So with the unspoken invisible trauma, that's actually where your truth lies. That's actually going to be the key that's going to unlock everything. All of these things that we keep shoved into our subconscious and into the back of the heart space, where we just shove it all back there and we don't want to deal with it. This is your key out. And so what you need is someone who you trust, someone who will understand you and midwife you through this, meaning literally, seriously, hold your hand and walk you through this process so that you are not doing it alone, so that you can come out on the other side, not changed, not someone else or something else, but more of the version of who you are. And that's the entire point here. So, and let's talk about the masking for a little bit. I know for me, my entire corporate life was a mask around what I was trying to not directly address and not express, things like my shadow side and different aspects of myself, because there's certain expectations when you sign up to be a part of a large organization and a culture that you are willing to assimilate yourself to so you can get paid, right? But then this also means that you often have to mask in every moment of your day, delivering the performance that is expected. This is very much why I have this backdrop in my actual chamber, because it looks like a theater stage. It looks like an opera or ballet stage. And that's the point. We come in here and we drop the performance and we learn how to be comfortable, fully ourselves, authentically, unapologetically on the stage now. So that's the entire idea behind really confronting this mask, honoring it, understanding how it has served you, and then setting it aside and allowing your true self, your true expression of who you are, to come forward without any kind of buffer or mask. And I speak to so many professionals in corporate, so many executives and elite clients who all of this is great. The mask has built such a beautiful life for them, but they are still miserable and their nervous system is still struggling. And it comes up in many different ways. And so, what I do want to make the point of is we don't burn out from doing too much. Honestly, we burn out from becoming something that we're not. So, and perhaps that really strikes a chord with you. Are you something that you just really are not, and you've built this whole thing and this whole identity within your experience, and it really just is not in alignment with who you are? I mean, are you an orthopedic surgeon who was in a band in high school, lead singer, played guitar, and that's who you really were, and that's the last time you remember experiencing actual joy from your own source? Are you an attorney who spends all day vocalizing and advocating for other people, but at the end of the day you have a very difficult time advocating for yourself and really expressing your true authenticity? Maybe you want to be an artist, a painter, a writer, or something like that, but you've just lost it along the way because we've been taught a different paradigm or idea of what success should look like. And this isn't to dog your life. This isn't to dog all of the work that you've done. It's absolutely valid and it served you very well, but it can only serve you so far. So this is for the people who are ready to go deeper and to really take a look and a radical self-inquiry into what it would mean for you to be happy and how that would look in your experience. Okay, what is the sacred undoing? Let's talk about that. The sacred undoing is a process that is initiatory. It's an initiation into remembering who you are. So this is not failure. That's why I designed this cover, which is actually the photo of this background in my chamber. And this is why that there is a golden light here at the center, because this is a hopeful process. This is a rebirth. This is a resurrection of remembering who you truly are and bringing that person back out into the world, because many of us are experiencing depression and anxiety, running around in our jobs and driving around our big expensive cars, but we're still so depressed and anxious for a number of reasons. Depression is the opposite of expression. So if you are someone who struggles with depression, I was diagnosed with clinical depression when I was 19. So this is 20 years now. I'm 38, okay? And I've struggled so long thinking that my answer was in a pill or in a talk session or in an exercise class or something like that. And in ways, it helped to heal me insofar as it opened the door for me to express. But only you specifically know what your true expression looks like. My true expression looks like a healing arts practice. It looks like an entire ecosystem of modalities that are non-drug, non-invasive, that are highly profound and impactful, that help people who are going through this same process. My expression is creating Shiloh Drive Spiritual School and a total online platform for people to be able to dive into this process themselves and begin to get comfortable with what expression looks like authentically, with what it looks like to be seen in your true form and understanding. So that's just a little bit there to think about. And there are three sort of major phases I want to talk about in the Sacred Undoing. My book itself has, let me see, 13, that's the magic number. My book itself has 13 chapters and includes a few appendixes and things like that with other information. But what I wanted to focus on today during this time in the master class is kind of condense that down into three different pillars or phases that we can use to explain what this process is. So you can learn a little bit about it today. Listen to this. If you're interested and you want to start the work, get the book. The book is the work. The book is $10 on Kindle. You download it onto your phone. This means that it's in your hand all the time, because what's in our hand all the time? Our phones. You can pull it out at any time. It's like having a $10 session with me that you can continue to refer back to. This is written in a format that is easy to understand, practical to apply, easy to digest in pieces, and it's really a manual for you to be able to keep returning to yourself. Okay, keep returning to yourself. So make sure that you get this if the message here today resonates with you. What are the three stages? We'll call them the three stages of the Sacred Undoing, so we can keep with the theme of the performance, right? Except for this is a performance into authenticity. So the three stages that we're looking at: stage number one, cracking that illusion. Oh yeah, cracking that illusion. This is usually the stage that you reach when your old coping mechanisms are no longer working. Nothing is working. And I've talked with many people, and I've walked my own path to understand the many different types of coping mechanisms, right? So you're polished, you're perfect, you're great, but then you go home, or as soon as you get in your car, you hit that THC vape, or you hit that nicotine vape, right? Or you make sure that you stop by Specs on the way home so you can get your favorite wine, vodka, beer, whatever it is. And it's only temporary for a moment that you get this relief, but then you have to wake up again the next morning and do all the same type of stuff. Maybe it shows up in the way that you go home and you yell at your partner, or you beat your partner or your kids, and you're ugly to them and you hurt them. That's another sign too. Maybe it's in the way that you have these really deep, dark habits that you don't like to share with people. Maybe there's a certain kind of porn you like to watch. Maybe there's a spot in the red light district in the nearest city where you live that you like to visit twice a month or so to feed your kink. This is what we talk about here. This is real, like I said. I'm not fucking sugarcoating anything here. This is real life stuff that people actually deal with, and we shove it down, we shove it away, and we do what we need to do to survive. My thing is, I reached a point where I was sick and tired of struggling. I no longer struggle. And I made that command to my field that I would no longer struggle, and that my life would begin to align in a way in which I was not holding myself prisoner. Because that's really can be what starts happening to us, is we become a prisoner to this life and these circumstances that we've built, but then there's still all this shit down below that, it still smells. It still smells in your life. You're going to feel the heat. You're going to smell the nasty smell. It's always going to be there. And you're always going to be afraid if someone else can smell the shit too. You know what I'm talking about. This is stage one, cracking the illusion. Yo, something here really is not working, and I'm tired of suffering. And that's really what prompts the change. When people decide that they're tired of suffering. And it's surprising. You'd be surprised how long people can suffer. Some people suffer their whole lives. They live to be 110 years old, never worked on anything, never worked on any of this stuff. And it was just an entire lifetime of suffering. And just a little spiritual insight on this. If we come here and we're suffering and we don't learn the lessons so that we can release the karma behind that and continue to evolve and move on, guess what, boys and girls? We come back and we are going to experience the same exact life again, the same exact everything. The same race you're born into, the same country, the same culture, the same religion, the same parents, the same bullshit all over again, until you finally wake up and until you finally remember who you are and come back. So if you're tired of suffering in this life, just imagine how many times maybe you've had to do this before, and it's time to end the cycle. Stage two, walking through the fire. What does this mean? It sounds very like beautiful, dramatic, cinematic, poetic, all of this. But that's really what it feels like. It's a heat, it's a fire, it's something that comes through and consumes and burns up all of the illusion that you've had around your life and around yourself until everything is bare bones. And then you can really start again from there. This looks like, in practice, emotional healing. Okay, so many of us are able to achieve this in therapy. There's plenty of good therapists out there, CBT, all these modalities that you can do. You can start touching on some shadow work in therapy. But really, the emotions are something that's so important that needs to be moved through us. So emotion is emotion, energy in motion. And many times I work with clients who have trapped emotions. They often get lodged in the 7 chakras. If you're not familiar with the 7 chakra system, go back and watch my earlier video on that. It's very insightful, and each chakra deals with a certain aspect in our life, and there's an emotion that's attached to each chakra that manifests primarily when it's out of balance or blocked. Another important aspect of this is nervous system reset. And how do we do this? Mainly, what we have to do is speak the language of the nervous system, have it trust us so that we can rewire it in a way in which we begin to feel safe. Safety is such a huge deal for many of us, especially high performers. That's why we're overextending, overperforming, overdoing things all of the time, because there's a sense of safety, or the bottom will just fall out at some point, that we just have to keep giving, going, performing, delivering. So, nervous system reset. Also, breath work is huge with this. Breath is the language of the body. I talk to people about this very often. Other somatic healing, movement, the open body method, which is a blend of yoga, somatic release, dynamic movement, trauma unwinding, breath work, things like that. If you're interested to learn more about that, or have a session or virtual session, a virtual class that is custom to what you're needing to unblock and open up, DM me, reach out to me about that. You can look on my website to book as well. And things like vocal training, sound healing, meditation. So these are all different kinds of ways we can reset the nervous system, particularly somatic release points in the body to release within the tissue also what is being held there. There's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score if you want to learn more about the themes of how the body literally holds the history of all of the spiritual and emotional things that we've experienced in our life. And the last aspect of this I touched on a little bit earlier is facing your shadow. So you cannot be a fully integrated person and be living authentically when you're carrying around that bullshit, right? When you're carrying around that really bad sack of shit. So what we have to do is unpack that, and we have to look at the aspects and part of ourselves that we've kept hidden, that we didn't want to perform, but which are an essential part of who we are, but they've been terribly neglected. Your shadow is not your enemy. Your shadow is your friend. Your shadow is the key part of yourself that is going to set you free. And you have to be okay, first of all, naming it and talking about it. And that's a lot of the work that I do with my clients, is giving them safe space and understanding. Listen, I can take it all. I can handle it all. I'm a tough cookie. So I can handle anything people have to say to me about what it is that they're experiencing and going through, because somebody needs to be able to hear it. And once you release it from yourself and you begin to understand, you show compassion to your shadow side, because the shadow's just here to serve us, essentially. And we've been treating it like crap for our entire lives. But if we can get into that space where we become friends with it and we understand it, and we can thank it for protecting us and thank it for helping us cope in different ways, and begin to understand the processes behind it, then we can be able to really merge the two sides of the coin that we are, the light and the dark. This is another along the lines of the beef that I have with commercial mainstream spirituality, is that everything's all light and love. Well, if you're a fully integrated being, you are not all light and love. If we are all God and all one, then we understand that there is also anger, rage, horror, irritation, fear, all of these kind of shadow aspects within us as well. So if we can become friends with them and recognize them, we're going to be on our way. The last stage I want to talk about is becoming the temple. And this is not the mainstream, like, my body is a temple and everything here is beautiful. And I mean, that's great for a lot of first level entry work, but what I'm working on here is a lot of second level spirituality and deeper things. And when I say becoming the temple, this means that you become a devoted, dedicated steward of yourself and your own experience. That you are dedicated every moment, every breath of your life to maintaining this temple and this body of work. Because at this point, you would have done some body of work on yourself. Then it's about maintaining that with what? Really good boundaries, with making sure also that you spend time in the things that bring you joy, with being sure that you continue personal development and growing and learning and things like this. That's what it means to tend the temple. So this can come through in many ways and many expressions for you. So that you're living in your truth, you're aligning with your purpose, which is what I also work with clients on. Soul contract and destiny mapping is something I specialize in. So if you're curious as to what your true purpose is and how you walk in alignment, that's another session we can set up for you there. And then also leading from your wholly integrated being. So this means showing up in different places and being the example to those around you of what this actually looks like, because we're not here to just learn, and I'm not here to just teach. I'm here to midwife you through the embodiment, okay, through making all of the spiritual knowledge and everything in the ethereal, pulling it down into this third dimensional, dense, really tough ass experience, this boot camp that we're in spirituality, and creating heaven on earth. This is not easy. And oftentimes we need help. And this is something I specialize in. So we're getting toward the end of our video here. I just want to mention in closing, if you're in this process or you feel this process coming on, or maybe you have questions wondering if this is a process you need to go down, I offer a free consultation. So what you can do is go to my website. It's opengatewellnesstx, like Texas.com. There is a button at the top of the homepage that says enter the portal. You can click that. That is my intake form, my portal intake form. When you come to the end of the section, you'll see the menu of the different offerings that I have. You can just click consultation call. You can click off anything else that is of interest to you. We'll be sure to cover that in the consultation call. But I mainly just want to share with you right now that if this is something that you're feeling, if something in here made your spine quiver up and down, if it made your skin tingle and light up, if you started feeling really warm at certain places, this is the somatic communication from spirit that this is something in alignment for you. I want you to know that you are not crazy. That's the number one thing people start to love to throw around at you when you start going through this sacred undoing process, is that you're crazy, because they're trying to get you to doubt this very sacred path that you're going down. And it's up to you to stay strong enough with your boundaries and with your own self-love, self-devotion to keep walking this path. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're becoming. You're awakening. This is what true awakening is. It's not sitting in meditation and receiving some sort of big, profound experience or message. Yes, it happens for people in that way, but in the modern world, for high performers and those of you who are just like me that I'm speaking to, this is what the true awakening is. Understanding how you've ended up here and what you need to do to unwind all of this so you can live a life that you are fully expressing yourself in, and that you're truly happy and your nervous system finally feels safe in. Let's cover all of the ways that you can stay in touch with me. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram. It's at the I Am Solari. I'll be sure to tag all of this down in the description. Join my email list. That's a lot of fun. If you're really into like realness, no bullshit, just hearing pieces of yourself in someone else's story, my newsletter is where I like to share that with my audience. I can be in your inbox and talk about different insights, different channeled information, a couple of behind the scenes type of things I put in there, just for us to stay more intimately connected, so that I am delivering on this promise of being purely authentic and delivering imperfection to you right into your inbox. So you can go to my website for that as well. And if you hang out on the page for like 3 seconds, the prompt will come up asking you to submit to join the newsletter. And you can do this without having to get a session with me or anything like that. If you'd like to just stay connected and learn more, and then you can reach out for a session when you're comfortable. Download The Sacred Undoing now on Kindle. Again, only $10. Be sure that you get this, refer back to it over and over and over. This is the body of work, the literary body of work that I will be coming back to and referring to all the time in anything moving forward with the expansion of my Shiloh Drive Spiritual School classes, and also with any other things that I begin to develop along the way, like the open body method, signature Solari Reiki experience, things like that. This is going to be the reference for all of it. Also, go ahead and book a session with me if you're interested. I do things in person here at Soulgate in Sugar Land, Texas. I also see clients all over the world virtually. Energy knows no time and space, so this work is just as effective if we are virtual or in person together. This is the way quantum healing and multidimensional healing actually works. And last but not least, please be sure to comment, like, and share. Follow me on this journey, become part of it, be a part of it with me. I am looking forward to hosting some group calls and some other events. I'll be putting up more masterclasses. I'm just out here to reach more people. And I'm also currently booking speaking events and podcast interview episodes and getting more of myself put out here. So if you or someone you know would be interested in connecting with me so that we can collaborate on all of this, please let me know. And I just want to thank you for joining us for this first masterclass. Don't be afraid to reach out to me if you have questions or you're ready to get started.